Hi folks, I'm Halo and I'm a pagan, specifically a witch with druidic affiliations. So paganism nowadays is an umbrella term for a particular set of religions or new religious movements, if you want to get technical. So yeah, my religion is weird, as in unusual. It doesn't come with a manual. Paganism is often called the religion of the library rather than the religion of a book. And there are lots of practical activities which make parts of it and which sometimes leave those of us who need a teensy bit more structure looking for ways to adapt it as to how our brains work. My neurodivergences, such as ADHD, have a huge impact on how I approach my practice. I face specific challenges, don't we all? And I've spent large parts of my life finding alternative ways of approaching the tools which are common to neo-pagan spiritualities, and many other religious paths. There's no doubt that, for example, meditation is useful, or that contemplation is handy for giving space to understanding form. There's so much lore out there that can be woven together into a beautiful ritual and magic and apply to our own lives to enrich and inform. There's a wonderful community to connect with and a world of beauty with each passing season. And yet, ADHD means I can focus on material intensely and then forget about how much it meant to me for years. Without a set text to come back to, I can end up feeling adrift. My memory is fine, but my recall is shocking, you know. Time just poof and, well, yeah, talk about living in the moment. And don't get me started on sitting still. Spoiler, you won't. I can't. This is about as still as I get. So I've integrated some of the techniques that I've applied to my general life into my religious practice to make it easier. And I thought perhaps you folk would find it interesting, and maybe there's one or two that you might find helpful as well. I did, as I'm sure you can all understand, write out a great long piece, but it was far too long. So what I'll do is I'll share that afterwards, and I'll just give you the highlights now. So I always recommend that people look for a group or an accountability buddy or someone who shares your interests. So with new religious movements, with paganism, because it's such a broad umbrella, there are a lot of different options and a lot of different flavours, if you like. It helps to find people who are at least similarly inclined, but it also helps to be open to associating with people who are not exactly the same. And not only does getting involved with other people help support us as ADHDers, they help us keep us on track, they remind us that things are exciting, but they can give us new and different perspectives on the things that we're looking at. If they're coming at it from a slightly different angle, then we'll get ideas and connections that we wouldn't have thought of on our own. And our brains love that. We can map together these amazing worlds and see all of the connections that come together and weave something of so much more beauty than if we were just following one set path. Visual reminders are good. So in neo-pagan practice, in witchcraft, there's a lot of an emphasis today on building altars. Now, altars are working spaces, but a lot of people use that term and what they mean is a shrine. And it's a shrine to the divine, or a shrine to a specific aspect, a shrine to love, a shrine to enchantment, a shrine to work if we're looking for a new job. These are spaces where we can honour those aspects of the world. And having that visual space somewhere where we'll see it, where it's easy to find, where it's easy to change up, where it will be reminding us on a regular basis of what we're looking for, is really quite handy. Because with an ADHD brain, if we can't see it, it's not there. So altars are great. Having a focal point which we will pass on a regular basis, where we will see what it is that we are trying to connect to in ourselves and in the world, is really helpful. And then every time something in the world changes, so when the seasons change, or if you're a pagan, when there's a new festival, in my case we get 8 festivals a year, plus the full moon and the new moon if you like, and so there's a possibility of something exciting, something to celebrate about every 2 or 3 weeks. Change or alter. That keeps it new and fresh, and our brains crave novelty, so it really helps to motivate us and keep us connected. Involve your obsessions, your special interests. So whatever it is that you are passionate about at the moment, include that. If what really excites you is nail art, don't dismiss it as being not spiritual enough. Do a little design on your nails every festival, or a different one for every day of the week, or mark your spells on there in runes, the things that you are looking for in symbols. Then it's also reminding you every day. If the thing that really excites you is, well, whatever you fancy really. I know someone who created a temple of Elvis. I am an ordained priestess of the Temple of Elvis, and it is wonderful. Keep notes. Notes of any prayers or rituals that you use regularly. So not just what you do so that you can remember, but the things that you actually actively use. Even if you think you'll remember something, trust me, you won't. There was a particular prayer that I used day in, day out for about 3 years, which really helped me connect. And then I didn't really feel the need for it for a little while, and for about 6 months I didn't use it. And then I couldn't remember it, and I couldn't find where I'd learnt it from, and I couldn't work it out again, so I lost it. Until about 5 years later, when I found it in a little tiny note in one of my journals. So I copied it into my main, what I call a grimoire, a spell book, so that I always have that reference. I also wrote these things out on a cheat sheet and stuck it on the wall. So I had a little visual reminder of the times of the month, when the moon was, the things I wanted to remember, the practices that really keep me grounded and keep me rooted, and my favourite prayers, so that I would always be able to see it. Seriously, function over form, lads. Function over form. I do a lot of ritual work. I run rituals for people. So I keep a ritual bag, a big jute shopping bag, where I put lighters and candles and a plate for ritual cake in, and a torch and an umbrella and some extra snacks, because they're things that are useful. I make a list and I keep the things on that list in that bag, and I don't take things out because I'll never remember to put it back in. I use calendars and alarms to remind me of when things are happening, but the best thing I found worked is to actually have another person or other people who are involved in these things, who start talking about them when it gets to be that sort of time, to go, oh yeah, it's Beltane, isn't it? Let's go out and dance. What else? So a big one, there's a big emphasis in a lot of spiritual practices and mindfulness practices on sitting meditation, sitting still and in silence. I find this too much of a struggle. I have fought this for years to try and get myself to sit still and get my brain to be quiet, and I don't do that anymore. Now, if I want to clear my mind, I know what works for me. I get up and I move. I dance. I sing. I'll sing a song that has meaning. I'll sing a song that connects me. I'll sing a song of devotion. I'll dance to the divine. I'll pace. I'll rock. I'll map out a labyrinth on the floor. I'll move. I do not torture myself. Torturing yourself for your spirituality, unless that's your thing, not worth it. Really not worth it. Do what works for you. Get outside. It's really good for us. Go and walk outside as a walking meditation. Why sit indoors in stillness and silence if it hurts you? On that note, equally, rest. recharge, choose your projects carefully. If you get halfway through something and you're really struggling, stop. Your religious practice, your spiritual path is your own. This is one of the things that I really love about witchcraft and about paganism and about druidry, about heathenry, is because they are new religious movements, they don't have a set path. So while I can't do, this is the right thing to do, what I can do is work out what works for me. And it took me a little bit longer than being handed a map, than being handed a set of instructions. But it means I've been able to tailor it to myself. And as I grow and change, and things grow and change, and the world grows and changes, I can change it in relationship to that, keeping one core thing, one thing to guide me true to the divine, to God, to the goddess, to the magic in the earth, whatever you want to name that sacred. The main thing is to trust yourself. We don't need to be perfect at anything. It's called a practice for a reason. But we can relax, we can enjoy, and we can come back to it as often as it works for us. We can find our connection in it and our healing in it. And we can trust our own sense and our own connection to spirit and to the divine to guide us. Finally, as with all things, remember your strengths. As ADHDers are naturally sensitive types, we tune into spirit, we tune into the creative flow, we tune into the magic, whether real or metaphorical, depending on your worldview, that is in the world. And in doing so, we can be inspired and we can build our own way of relating. So yeah, hi, I'm Halo, I'm an ADHD witch, and I love it.